Cookies for the media, but you have to ask good questions in order to get them after the press conference. So pressure's on back there, Phil, as well for cookies. But Emily has spent a lot of time on those. That's taken on a life of its own. Number of messages I've gotten from people across the country that want the recipe or want to try them is awesome. So kudos to my wife, Emily, for working on those last night. And hope you guys enjoy them when we're done here. Sorry, Steve, I didn't mean to take your thunder. All right, welcome. Great to be back in here. A couple things before I get started. Certainly want to send my prayers to the family of Trooper Dennis Ricks. I know that passed away last week. State trooper that was unfortunately killed in a tragic incident in the line of duty as well. I have so much respect for our state troopers and all of our law enforcement here in South Carolina. My father-in-law was one for 3 decades as well. So hurt for him and his family, but want them to know that we're thinking of them as well. Want to wish the best of luck to our Irmo Little League team. It's up in Williamsport. I think they're playing this afternoon or this evening, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so best of luck to them. We're all cheering for them down here in South Carolina, and hope they can get a win today. And then best of luck to all of the high school teams across South Carolina that are starting their seasons this upcoming weekend. Nothing like high school football on a Friday night, so wish them the best of luck and hope they all have awesome years, as well as all of our students that are starting classes here today at the University of South Carolina. Wish them well. I got a chance to be with them last night on the Horseshoe with Dr. Amaritas, our president, and Jeremiah, our athletic director. Largest freshman class in the history of Carolina, I was told last night. So really cool. A lot of people that want to come to school here, students, student athletes, and hope and pray it's a great first year for them here in Columbia as well. Like I told them last night, they made an amazing choice coming to South Carolina. Going back to last week, we had our final scrimmage of the preseason, got a lot accomplished. We tried to go into the stadium, and then right about the time we were going to start, there was a storm that hit Saturday afternoon. I think it was centered right on top of Williams-Brice Stadium. So we had a lot of thunder and lightning and a lot of rain in a short period of time. So we had to obviously get work on a weather delay. So our guys were in the locker room for well over an hour waiting that out. And then in the end, just felt like it was going to be hit and miss with storms the rest of the day. Didn't want to tear the field up as well. So we pivoted, had a sudden change, as we call it, on the football field, and came over here and did everything in our indoor facility. So it was like old school arena league football. We were tackling and full speed, everything out there. Went through everything from a game day standpoint, what pregame warm-ups are like, what halftime is like, what sideline organization is like. So really proud of our players handling the change. And then I think a average weak-minded team would be in the stadium for an hour. They'd lose focus. Their head coach would come in, say we're walking back across the street, and then we're going to go through our entire pregame warm-up routine. And then, by the way, we're going to go in the indoor facility, and it's going to be live, and we're going to tackle just like a game. I think a weak-minded team that didn't love football would look at that coach like he was crazy. And not these guys. They were fired up, had a really productive day, got better, got to see what we wanted to see, and then had a physical day in there as well. So proud of what we got done on Saturday. Sunday was our in-season Sunday, where we had meetings and lifting and our annual newcomer talent show, which is always a highlight of the year, seeing those guys in that talent show at the end of the preseason camp. And then yesterday was our off day, and then today was a normal Tuesday. So this is our mock game week, as I've talked about before. Want everybody to understand what a Tuesday is like around here. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, as far as meeting schedule, practice schedule, so they can get in their routine, because we've got close to 50 players, I think, that weren't a part of our program last season, counting freshmen and transfers. So it's a lot of guys that have not been through a game week, if you will. So I want those guys to understand what a normal game week is like around here. So then next week, when we do it for real, they understand and they have their routine. So that's what this week is about. But thought we went out today and had a productive Tuesday. And as I told the team after practice, it's critical we get better this week. This can't be take a breath and let's just try and get to game week next week. We've got a lot to accomplish. We got a lot of work to do. and started today and thought we did that getting better out there today. No update on Rasul. I know you're going to ask. Same story as last week. Hopeful and optimistic we'll hear something from the NCAA soon, and then no new injury updates that are long-term other than George Wilson, edge transfer that was going to play for us this season. He's going to be out for a while as well, which is unfortunate. We're kind of gotten hit pretty good at that one spot, which is disappointing from that standpoint, from a depth standpoint. But a lot of guys that are there that are competing and working to get better, and that's what we'll continue to do tomorrow. Questions?
Before we get started, just a reminder, next week, because it is a Sunday game, Wednesday is a Tuesday, so this press conference will happen Wednesday.
Yep. Sorry for the change, but we're in football calendar, so next Tuesday is next Tuesday's Monday, correct, and next Wednesday is Tuesday. So there you go. Get it in your minds.
Shane, Lenoris was just in here and revealed kind of an interesting motivational ploy that Mike Shula has for him. Do you know about the plastic poop thing while they're watching film?
I'm well aware. There's certain things that I think need to stay in-house, and that was probably one of them, but yes.
Well, just how did that come about? And once you found out about it, were you just like, okay, whatever helps?
Kind of whatever. I hire coaches and trust them to do their jobs and whatnot. And I wasn't really aware of it, David. I go to the quarterback meetings most days, and I was in there last week. We had a couple basketball coaches that were here visiting, and I was sitting there with them, and something came up, and Mike told Cutter to go get it, you know what, and I didn't know what was going on, and then Cutter came back carrying the piece of you know what as well, and he kind of enlightened us on the backstory going back to when he was with the New York Giants and all that as well. So whatever it takes to connect with guys and motivate them, I'm all for.
With George Wilson's injury, is it something where it could be like, hey, come back next year potentially, or are y'all hopeful that he'll be able to get back at some point?
We'll see what happens this year, but we're already working to get him back in 2026, absolutely, if we're not able to get him back in 25. Disappointing for him, but to not be ready to go right now and to be out for a little bit, Hale. But like I told him, you try and find the positive in everything. And what I told him is maybe this is a positive because you didn't get here until June, and now you have a chance to, if you're not able to get back in 25, you have an entire off season in the weight room where you should be an even better version of yourself in 2026 if you're not able to get back in 25.
As far as the jump from the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage, were there any questions or anything you kind of were hoping to see that you didn't see in the first scrimmage that you did see in the second scrimmage?
I was hoping to see our punters punt even better, our snappers snap even better, and our kickers kick even better, and they did. So that was very good to see. I was hoping to see maybe a little bit more explosiveness on the offense as far as explosive plays. Saw that. I was hoping to see the defense create a few more takeaways than what they did the week before. And I know there was one on social media, GK's interception, and that was one. But overall, I thought they were better. Offense protecting the ball still good. Defense doing some things. So, yeah, there's a lot that I went into it. Wanting to stay healthy was probably the biggest thing because that was a scrimmage for us, Jack, where we really wanted to get our the guys that we really know, the Lenorises of the world that are going to be playing a lot of snaps against Virginia Tech. We wanted to get them as much of a, game-like feel as we could. So we, instituted TV timeouts where they have to get used to the drives over, and now we punt, and now it's 3 minutes of just downtime. So we were in there for about 2.5, 3 hours, just getting used to our guys feeling that as well. So along those lines, we wanted our top guys, if you will, to get a lot of reps, and that was the other thing we got accomplished, and we were able to stay healthy, throughout that as well.
2 questions. First, quick one. Anyone's talent impress you the most in the talent show?
A lot of it. Talk about Lenore. Some things need to stay in-house. There's a lot from that show that probably needs to stay in-house. Yeah, there's some good ones. Some players reenacted the Fantasia scene from the locker room, that was a hit. Brought my wife in. I didn't even know she was a part of the talent show, but she showed up in the team meeting Sunday night. So that was fun. Nick Gargiulo a few years ago kind of started his own version of Saturday Night Live Weekend Update with the scenes from camp, which is his was epic a couple years ago, but Cutter Woods did it this year, and it was pretty funny. All G-rated, it was awesome, but it was pretty cool seeing Cutter up there. So it's a fun night. Talent-wise, nobody that I was just blown away by. We've had some guys sing and dance before. Nobody that just blew me away this year, but there were some good performances.
Okay. And in the Netflix documentary, Emily said that she doesn't, after a loss, she doesn't want to leave the house because she feels like the town's mad at her. You've been pretty vocal about how your job affects your kids, but I'm curious, like that was sort of a different approach where she feels like she bears a lot of weight. Do you have those conversations, and does it feel different going into year 5?
Yeah, a little bit. And I think with what she said, it's not like, you know, the minute she walks out of the house, it's everybody's just out there with like pitchforks and knives in the cul-de-sac of our neighborhood. It wasn't quite like that, I think. But I get what she was saying in regards to, you know, everybody's disappointed, and people in this town, they live and die with Gamecock athletics, and everybody's Mondays are a lot better if we have won the Saturday before. And if we haven't, you know, certainly you feel that, not in this building, but her and the kids on the outside. And I think as a dad, certainly having those conversations where we got so many supportive people in Columbia. It's awesome, and our kids' school is awesome. But certainly there were times, particularly, you know, a couple years ago, where when we were 5 and 7, where kids at school may just say something being kids, and you really just kind of got to prepare your kids. And I did this early on, Lulu, when we came here, that, look, Dad's not the assistant coach at Oklahoma anymore, where Lincoln Riley was getting blamed for losses. Now you are the head coach, so people are going to blame Dad if we don't play well. So just having those conversations, but making sure they understand that whatever somebody might be saying to them at school, that kid probably heard his parent saying at home as well. But you know, we're very thankful to be surrounded by an awesome community and great support. But that's just part of it when you're at a high profile job like it is. Does that answer your question? What you're trying to get at? Sort of. Okay.
Hey, Coach, obviously, you know, Rasul and his eligibility uncertainty at this point. I'm curious, how's that group handling that, and what's impressed you the most with that collection of talent during fall camp that gives you confidence, okay, in the ranks we got some key pieces that we can use?
Yeah, the group's handling it really, really well, I feel like. Proud of Sewell, first of all. He's just been all business and just goes out there and worries about focuses on what he can control, which he can't control the NCAA's decision. So he just goes out there and works and tries to get better. So proud of him from that standpoint. We did do a spelling bee the other night, a skit in the talent show, and Sewell's word was eligibility. That was pretty funny as well. But I've been proud of him, the way that he has worked. Proud of that whole group and the way they've supported him throughout this process as well. And that's a group. It's I believe this. We're better in that running back room than what we were last year. And that's nothing against anybody that was here. It's nothing against Rocket. Rocket was the guy in that room, and he got the bulk of the reps and the carries. We have more depth in that room this year, and they're all really supportive of one another, and knowing that they're all competing with each other and making one another better, and they're all supportive of Sewell, and Sewell's supportive of them, and they've done a good job of working together, without a doubt.
Have you named a backup or QB3 yet, or is that competition going to keep going?
I'd say it's certainly ongoing. It's no conversations that I've had with anybody. I don't want to speak for Mike, but I don't believe he has either. Those guys are still working, still competing, still developing, and that's one too, Jordan, that I think will be, y'all know me, like whatever the roles are in game 1, that doesn't mean it's going to be the same game 12. We're constantly competing, and it's one thing we talked about today at the end of practice was, you know, we're a team that we continue to compete, we continue to get better throughout the year typically, and it starts with the way that we practice. So we're constantly competing and trying to earn roles throughout the season and increase roles throughout the season as well. So no, nobody. I mean, we got a general idea of kind of where it would be maybe, you know, if we played right now, but we're not at that point yet.
Shane heard a lot about Brandon Cisse and what he's brought in at corner. One, how have you seen his development? And two, he played receiver as well in high school. Is that something that you guys might could exploit?
Sure, if Virginia Tech's listening. Probably not, just to be totally honest. He's been really good at defensive back. He's a talented guy. I'd see where he could be really good at receiver. We've got enough right now, wide receiver depth right now where we're trying to get all those guys at receiver ready to play and improve them as quick as we possibly can. What I've seen for him is just the mentality that he approaches things with. I think Torian's talked about it. Brandon's just a football junkie and just really smart. I would get text messages from him in the springtime and in the summer on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and he's up watching tape of Stephon Gilmore or whoever and just asking questions. It's just that's who he is. He loves football. He's really smart, and that's been a great addition to not just our secondary and not just our defense, but our football team. Just his mentality, the way that he practices, the speed that he plays with. I think he's getting ready to have a really, really productive year for us.
Jackson and Alex, then Flash, and Mingo, then Phil.
Wow, that's pretty good, Steve.
Going back to your playing days at Virginia Tech, could you give us a scouting report on Shane Beamer, the long snapper? Because I read in the media guides that you were sort of a glue guy and maybe even squatted 415 at one point.
I think I did. Yeah, you've done your research as well. Scouting report on me. I was a guy when I was snapping that I was good in coverage and that I'm not fast by any stretch of the imagination, but I could snap, protect a little bit, and then at least get downfield and force a fair catch. So I don't know if I was in on many tackles in my career. 10? Was I really? Nice. Well, I was in, exactly. So that was me. I always just kind of had a knack for being able to snap, and that was a way for me to get on the field. My dad told me that back when I was in 8th grade, that I was a receiver, quarterback, defensive back growing up, and my dad kind of had the talk with me in 8th grade that, look, Shane, if you want to play at a high level, I'm not sure it's going to be as a quarterback or wide receiver at a high level. You can keep working at it, but there's a way for you to get on the field, and you're pretty good at snapping. You ought to keep that up. So that's how I got on the field. And as a scouting report, athletic enough, decent as a snapper, but could get downfield in coverage and at least force some fair catches and get in on 10 tackles as well. So before I started snapping, I covered some kickoffs as well. So I was proud of that. There's some pretty good tape of that back in the 96 season also. Thank you for asking. That's awesome.
With some of those injuries in the edge room, what have you seen with some of those other guys who could be potentially stepping up into more of a playing time role?
Yeah, just real understanding their urgency. We're fortunate that we at least have Dylan returning and 2 guys, and Brian Thomas and JT Gear, that have played a lot of football for us and are older guys. So when you talk about those 3, along with Desmond, that's 4 guys that are in their 3rd year in this program, and then guys coming along like Clowney and Anthony Addison. Those guys just continue to work. Quay Dodd. So we've got some flexibility. We've got enough depth in that room. I hate being down some guys. That's unfortunate, but those guys have really just increased the urgency that they're doing things with and understanding how much we need them right now as well. Fortunate that Anthony was here during spring practice. Quay was here during spring practice, so they've been around here long enough where they've got some reps and experience, just not in games.
You alluded to the special teams or the specialists playing better from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2. What about them did you really like that's kind of moving along as you head into the first week of the season?
Just the consistency of doing their job. Snapping, holding, kicking, punting, as it gets closer to game day. And that's, last Saturday we tried to put them in more tough situations, and 2-minute drive where it's a field goal to win, and they both got, multiple kickers got out there and kicked field goals in that scenario, field goal to win. Try to make it game-like with people screaming, me on the microphone, William Joyce, Mason Love, Peyton Argent, Max Kelly, whoever on the field to attempt a 48-yard field goal or whatever it might be, and just, seeing them go out there and be able to perform and just be consistent. That was the biggest thing as well. And not that they weren't beforehand, but I just saw more consistency out of that on Saturday afternoon.
The defense last season ranked top 10 nationally in sacks. I was wondering how much does that forcing the pressure on the quarterback help out the back end of the defense, and also in facing a quarterback like Kyron Jones here in a couple weeks?
Yeah. Now for us, it always starts with stopping the run first and foremost. That's the number one thing that we want to do, is stopping the run, and then once you do that, that allows your pass rush to take over and force teams to throw the ball. So absolutely, our ability to generate pressure. We knew going into last season that we needed to be more disruptive around the quarterback and create more negative plays, and we were able to do that. And absolutely, when you're a defensive back, you love that up front, guys that are able to put pressure on the quarterback and make him get rid of the ball quick. So they don't have to cover all day. So it all ties together, and it'll be critical next Sunday in Atlanta against Drones. He's a weapon back there. That's an experienced guy that can make a lot of plays with his feet, and we're going to need to do a great job of stopping the run, putting pressure on him, keeping him corralled, and then allowing our guys to go out there and do what we want to do defensively.
We've seen the NCAA issue a number of decisions on individual cases over the last several weeks. Have your people given you any indication about, in the Faison case, do they need more information, more material? Is it just that they're in line waiting?
I think we're just in line. We've given them Phil everything that they've asked, and they've come back a couple times in the last few months with just wanting a little bit more. And I think that process, that communication has been very clear and concise. And from what I understand is just there's a, obviously the one that I'm most worried about is this one, but there's also other cases like you're alluding to as well, and I think they're kind of we're in line, if you will. I don't know the logistics of how everything works there at the NCAA, but it's not a matter at this point of they don't have what they need. Now, they may call me as soon as I walk out of here or call us and say they still need some clarity on this scenario, but until they tell me otherwise, I think we're just in line.
Hey, Coach. You talk a little bit about going through the game week procedure, especially for the freshmen to get used to it. How much in this, game week simulation have you introduced preparing for Virginia Tech?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a fine balance of you don't want to be just so much Virginia Tech for 2 straight weeks where they're just overloaded and mentally fatigued of Virginia Tech talk going into the first game. So we introduced it today like we would on a normal Tuesday, and we did some preparation for Virginia Tech out there at practice, but it'll be just a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit Thursday, and then really full board next week. And this week gives us an opportunity to kind of look at some things that we may like, offense, defense, special teams, and then tweak and adjust. If we don't like it, take it out, all that stuff. It's very similar for us to an off week during the season, where typically we'll practice 3 days a week of the week that we're not playing. That week is about getting us better, but also introducing the next opponent, and that's what today was, and tomorrow and Thursday. So introducing Virginia Tech, giving them a good understanding of Virginia Tech going into the weekend, and it probably is more beneficial now than ever, just because there's so much unknown about Virginia Tech, because you've got coordinators that weren't there last year. And not only were they not there last year, they were not even in college football last year. So there's a lot of, there's a heavy volume of tape that you can watch from different places, and giving our guys a solid understanding of here's what we think, but we got to be ready for this, we got to be ready for that, and so on.
In these scrimmages, and one more on Faison here, just how have you guys seen yourself handling the workload of Faison, but also, the uncertainty of he may not be able to play week 1. We got to be able to get these guys reps in these scrimmages.
Yeah, just that from from Sewell's standpoint, it's let's get him ready to play, but we also got to have these other guys ready to play. And thankfully, all those other guys are guys that have been here in our program that have been repping. It's not like they just got here. And then Sewell had a little bit of a shoulder bruise last week where he was a little bit limited last week. So that gave those guys an opportunity, those other ones, to get in there and get some reps. So for us, it's really just get all those guys ready to play, prepare like Sewell's playing, prepare him as that he's playing from a rep standpoint. And we haven't had a conversation where I told Coach Blackwell, hey, let's not use him here because we don't know. It's more, let's plan on him playing and let's do what we would do if there wasn't an eligibility issue. Also, though, understanding that we've got other running backs that are going to play, whether Sewell's eligible or not. You're going to see more than one or two running backs out there. So let's get those guys ready to go.
I'm guessing it's probably a little premature to start naming who's going to get on the bus or the plane to Atlanta, as far as like the freshmen, new guys. But are any of those guys that you guys are like, hey, we're really confident they're going to be making the trip?
Yeah, I mean, it may be a little early from y'all's standpoint, not for us. I mean, we talk about that all the time, just especially for Joe DeCamillis in regards to special teams. And we meet, regularly, but every Sunday after a scrimmage, we sit in there and we talk about, okay, here's where we see this guy on defense right now. Where do we see him on special teams? Is he going to play on special teams? Is he a guy you got to have? So we're having those conversations just from a rep standpoint so we can have a general idea of who we need to be repping where. And if he's nowhere in the defensive or plans or the offensive plans, a certain individual, but he's definitely a guy that Joe D says I need, then we're going to get that guy ready to play from a special team standpoint. So we're fairly far along with that. Not necessarily going through each position necessarily, but I think you could look around at every position: tight end, receiver, defensive end, linebacker, defensive back, and say that there's going to be a true freshman at those positions playing against Virginia Tech, whether it be on special teams or on offense defense.
Fakari mentioned earlier how having Cisse in the room, coming from the ACC, helps when prepping for teams like Virginia Tech and Clemson. I was wondering, from your perspective, how having those guys coming from other power conference schools helps prepping for these bigger out-of-conference games.
Maybe if I don't want to speak for Vakari, but I don't know. I mean, maybe if they played against that team last year, they have some familiarity with it. If Brandon can say last year when NC State played Clemson that this was part of their plan or something he remembers, sure, it's a nugget that can help. But I think it's more whether it's Brandon Cisse or anyone just being able to that's had experience at this level playing in games against other Power 4 teams. The more guys that have that experience on your team, the better it is for everyone.
I know we've touched on the running backs a little bit today, but what have you seen from Isaiah Augusto throughout fall camp?
Yeah, we're really excited about him. I mean, you forget that he just got here in the summertime. He's got speed. He's got explosiveness. He had the longest run, at least in a scrimmage, of the preseason the other day, where he broke a tackle and had a 60, 70-yard run, which was impressive to see. We need that explosiveness at the running back position for sure, and that's what I've seen. He's a guy that very serious about his work, can run. He's got size. He's got an explosiveness to him when he hits the hole. He's a hard runner, and has been really good for us on special teams as well because of his size and speed of getting downhill. All right, thank you. Y'all enjoy. I got to go to a meeting, but I hope the reviews are strong. Appreciate you. Have a good week.